Hi everybody. Now after just about a couple minutes ago, we just did a comic book resource double. So for this next comic book resource double, what are we going to be doing? For this comic book resource double, we normally talk about two things and throw into a video. That's kind of how these videos go, okay? Now, if you stick around, I might have some really cool stuff to share. Okay, so did you guys know that they have updated a lot of things on comic book resources since the last time I was on? Yes, they have. Now, we just have to find something. Okay, we read that yesterday on the other channel. Okay, let's go to page 3, see if we can find something else. Alright, so you want to know, let's see. Alright, so what we're going to talk about are the 10 best Pokemon trainers. Okay, who are the 10 best Pokemon trainers and their training cards to go with the Pokemon trading card game? Okay, now we don't really talk about anime too much on the channels, but I figure I'll switch it up and do some anime on here. Okay, we have done anime several different times on different channels in the history of the Hutchins Huts, but today we're going to talk about the 10 best trainers on Pokemon. Okay, every year the Pokemon trading card game is innovating new mechanics and strategies to play the game. However, results are a plethora of new decks throughout the year. Each of them are drastically different with play, to adapt the matches with their best trainers. However, there are many different trainers in the Pokemon universe, since, Ash is not the only one. Now, Journey Together brings a triumphant return to the trainer Pokemon, and promises to change the deck building philosophy to a game goes forward. While decks with Charizard, and Dragapult, and Raging Bolt X, and Miraidon, and all the rest now have based famous trainers from each of the sets, from many fan favorites, and led fans to speculate which of these Pokemon trainers we will receive in the future. Okay, so the first one we have on the list is Roark. Roark is a rock Pokemon gym leader. Okay, fossil Pokemon and rock Pokemon are now very rare, but they are not new appearing to, the likes of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Fans began to wonder what's happened to the subclass of Pokemon. Incredibly rare to find a gym leader to lead fossil and rock Pokemon, especially that of the 4th generation. He's a 4th generation leader and trainer who's used fossil Pokemon and rock Pokemon to find a hard-earned badge in his end. Now again, he's also been a Pokemon trainer back in Diamond and Pearl. He bestows the Coal badge to players who've defeated him yet before. His team consists of nothing but rock Pokemon. His background is an archaeologist, and he's done lots of fossils. This trainer also has received cards in upcoming sets and future sets, even though deck would likely be built around his Rampardos, which is, I'll point out later. But unfortunately, the fighting type is now built a little different in the recent years, and now he's back for a welcome inclusion. Larry. Okay, Larry is the most enjoyable Generation 9 gym leader. Okay, Generation 9. 9th generation. Okay, normal Pokemon usually are the starting point to most of the powerful evolutions, but Generation 9 is really interesting, considering that Larry has joined as the Elite Four of the Trainer of Teams from normal Pokemon to Signature Pokemon. Larry's main Pokemon is Staraptor, which tries to terrestrialize the beginning of each involvement and encounter throughout the game. While none of the trainer's Pokemons revealed so far are also Terra, Larry can also break the trend of his Pokemon ever to appear in the Pokemon trading card game. Next on the list is Olivia. Olivia and her signature Pokemon is very unique. Okay? Pokemon of multiple forms are most beloved in the franchise from the Sun and the Moon franchise. The Sun and Moon Pokemon franchise also has some of the interesting and most best trainers of recent times. Now this is a Generation 7. Generation 7. Okay, Generation 7. And she basically is a leader who does Generation 7 Pokemon. The Sun and Moon Pokemon, Generation 7. She basically uses her Pokemon for multiple forms, and it has evolved through many throughout the series. Though she made an appearance in the trading card game, it will be likely built around her Midnight form Pokemon, and other cards could appear as well. Next on the list is Steven Stone. Steven Stone is a skilled champion in Pokemon. The champions in Pokemon history have some of the most iconic characters of the series. One of them is Steven Stone. He is a champion of the Hoenn region. Steven primarily wields Steel and Rock Pokemon. But again, he's also had many cores to his team. In most games, he's beloved as a blue hair champion. And, like I said, he has blue hair. Steven's Metagross has also been leaked to be included in the upcoming set. Many fans are unsure about which Pokemon he will include next. Luckily for players, Metagross is already an amazing Pokemon with energy acceleration. Steven's deck has no issue finding a way in the meta, and also the Pokemon is strong in the trading card game. Next on the list is Wally. Wally is a phenomenal Pokemon rival. Okay, some of the rivals in Pokemon Rivals franchise are very boring, but however, not to provide any more upsetness, there's ample motivation to keep on fighting. However, some of them are phenomenally written characters in their own right. Their teams are a great addition to the Pokemon trading card game. Wally is one of those characters who has endured rivals, and his journey would be great to show off on the trading card game. He's got a strong deck and a trading card meta, and rotation is interesting, and his consistency is great. This seems a great opportunity for Wally and his Pokemon to appear. Okay, I just got interrupted, but this is part 2. Okay, so what we're talking about are famous Pokemon trainers. Okay, so what we're talking about are the famous Pokemon trainers. Alright, so before I got interrupted. So then, this seems like a great opportunity for Wally and his Pokemon to make an appearance in the change to Psychic-type energy Pokemon. Overall, the meta will likely shift significantly in 2025, and Wally seems poised to be part of that reason. Iris is an entertainer, Dragon-type Pokemon leader. Okay, Dragon Pokemon are some of the strongest, but they have few weaknesses, one of them being Ice. They don't like fairies, and other Dragon Pokemon. Furthermore, they're currently dominating the Pokemon trading card game. The best deck in the format is a Dragapult X, which is competitive in the threat, and is spread damage across bench Pokemon. The propensity of a Dragon-type Pokemon in that format means that Iris would be a great choice to have and receive cards soon. Iris is a Dragon-type Pokemon leader, and has used Hexorus as her signature Pokemon. The Pokemon is occasionally featured in Rendrago V-Star. Rendrago V-Star is a powerful attack of 230 damage, and drawback of discarding energy from attacking Pokemon. Overall, Dragon-type Pokemon are always as entertaining in strategy as the trading card game. Iris should make a good place to replace the Rendrago V-Star strategy when it rotates in format. Next on the list, we're on number 4 on the list, Leon. Yes, Leon. Leon uses iconic Pokemon series staple. He uses Charizard. Okay, he uses first generation Pokemon Charizard. Again, fire and flying type Pokemons like Charizard. Leon is one of the most interesting, but also quite very interesting trainers in Pokemon series. Although Leon's Charizard could be quite functionally different than the current one, the meta doesn't become repetitive at all. Overall, Leon is a phenomenal great champion in Pokemon, and is a great rival to all the rest of the trainers. He would also be a great addition to the trading card game in 2025. Next on the list is Morty. Morty, no relation to Rick and Morty, it is Morty. It's just an influential ghost-type Pokemon trainer. Yeah, Morty. Yes, his name's Morty. And no relation to the star Rick and Morty. His name's just Morty. Now, ghost-type Pokemon are along some of the best in the game. They're really strange and really dark. The ghost-type Pokemon readers are quite rare. One of them is Morty. Morty and his signature Pokemon Gengar have appeared in multiple games and left a mark on Pokemon history. Gengar is one of the most disruptive decks and is very slow. Although he is a really famous ghost-type Pokemon, and recent poison can support Pen X and bind emojis to add to interesting variables to oil-free strategies. Number 2, we already know Ash Ketchum. We already know he is the very face of the Pokemon franchise. We don't need to spend any time with him, you already know. And coming up above Ash is Cynthia. Cynthia is the only other champion that's above Ash Ketchum, who can be seen in the deck in 2025. The champions of both Pokemon games and all Pokemon games have all been beloved throughout the series, but no champion is as popular as Cynthia. Her championship from the Sinnoh region is a versatile team in which she appeared. She always uses her signature Pokemons. Luckily for her fans, it does not appear to take too long for her to notice that her fans, again, will be leaked in the upcoming 2025 trading card set. Overall, many trainers appeared in Pokemon trading card game in 2025. These next sets in 2025 will be the next time frame in the meta. The first core set of the year will be March and spring of 2025. If you're excited about these, let us know. Hi everybody. It's your friend Daniel Hutchins. We're just catching up on some stuff on the DVR, the digital video library. And so what are we doing? We're catching up some stuff on the DVR, the digital video library, and we are catching you guys up on some stuff from our friends over on the comic book resources using my brand new Amazon Fire tablet. Right. So I only have a little bit of coffee left, and because they got me coffee at the fast food place today. They also gave me their soda, which I like to drink that at room temp, so I'm waiting for it to get nice and warm. So, okay, now we're hopping back onto the browser, and going back to what we were talking about. After we just had finished a 2-part broken up video of the 10 best characters and trainers that we'll get for the Pokemon trading card game for 2025. I had to split it in 2 parts because I got interrupted by a pop-up ads. Okay, alright, so you want to know what else is going on in the comic universe, right? Okay, so we talked about Pokemon, so I might as well catch you guys up on other stuff, okay? Since you guys don't really know what I'm going to do yet until I announce what I'm doing. Okay, so let's go next page. The next page. I'm trying to find an article that is not a countdown, just because it saves time. Okay, alright, so did you guys know that James Gunn has now confirmed a fan favorite villain, which may prevent them from appearing in the Creature Commandos? Okay, James Gunn's universe now confirms a fan favorite villain that might prevent them from appearing in the Batman. Okay, there are so many characters in the Batman universe, but now on the 5th episode of Creature Commandos, which I have to watch, basically introduces Clayface. Okay? Now there's speculation saying that he might not appear in the Matt Reeves Batman film anymore, because now it says the shapeshifter is then confronted by Frankenstein and Rick Flag Sr., and he's killed off in an episode where basically they investigate and find out from Amanda Waller that their vision of the dystopian future has been messed up, and they have to legitimately try to figure out how to fix it. Now, discovering that they are dead, and now Clayface has come back to impersonate someone, the episode, basically based on the heel of an announcement at DC, is going to be making a Clayface movie. Yes, a Clayface movie. You heard me right. They're making a Clayface movie. And he will not appear in the Matt Reeves universe, which is historically redundant, considering that we now have 2 versions of him. Alright? Over the past 85 years, many different characters in the Batman universe have seen 8 different characters play Clayface. Not counting the half a dozens other went by Falseface, who was the original Clayface that was created by Bill and Bob Kane back in 1940. Now, remember, Batman was created in the 40s. Remember that. Now, the first version of Clayface was created 18 years later, but in the modern age, they basically say they had someone else take up the mantle for Clayface. So all of them are obviously metahuman, and are currently continuing to allow them to alter their form and shapeshift, because, Clayface is a shapeshifter. In case you guys don't know, he is a shapeshifter. His first appearance was in Detective Comics back in 1980, who was an actor who was originally named Who Framed Basil Karlo for his murder he committed back in other stories. There's also another story called Clayface of Japan, which also was a second volume, which included Clayface back in Batman Incorporated. And I have read Batman Incorporated, and let me tell you, Batman Incorporated is a very tricked-up series. Now, it's unclear which version Clayface appears in Creature Commando, unless you saw the episode, which I probably will have to go and watch that episode now since you say that. Now, since there are so many characters that have used Clayface, the possible for live-action version could be by many different people. Clayface is a popular villain by the Batman villains in the comics, and yet again, to appear alongside the Cape Crusader, outside of animation, he's a perfect comic book villain because he is simultaneously ridiculous and horrifying. How does Clayface fit into a grounded Batman universe with Matt Reeves? Well, again, Basil Karlo is most likely the most famous version of Clayface to appear, if he appears at all, in Batman Part 2, which is currently slated for 2026. But beginning from what we know, Matt Reeves insisted his Batman universe is grounded to reality, meaning there is no room for metahumans. So Batman still has more fantastic elements and different people he can use, but now he's taken it in a different direction. He's taken on a Michael Crichton science fiction element to basically make his universe more darker and more grounded. So yeah, notes. Did you guys know in the Penguin that that Basil Karlo basically was in his early development phase back in the early version to Clayface to appear ever in DC Comics? Now, they have a grounded approach doesn't mean Clayface can't show up in Batman Part 2 or many of its spin-offs. The original Clayface, we know, Basil Karlo, is again one of the many famous versions of the Clayface. Now, to appear in a film with prosthetic makeup and mimicry to effectively impersonate other people, because he's a shapeshifter, and he's also a failed actor, so that's hence why he's the Clayface. If you guys know, and if you guys pay attention, you guys know that. The commitment of making this universe realistic as possible prevents many Batman villains from appearing in the Reeves films. However, Warner Brothers has historically been redundant on introducing multiple versions of the same character in live-action adaptations. Several adaptations, in fact. Most notable exception to that is The Flash, who has appeared both in Arrowverse and DCEU. And where Batman universe there is the Elseworlds, where, Clayface appearance in DCU might squash any chance that Basil Karlo, the original Clayface, shows up to menace that of the Robert Pattinson Dark Knight. Mike Flanagan also was the Clayface. Did you guys know that? Mike Flanagan also wanted to have a Clayface movie, and he wanted to have a movie for more than a year. Did you guys know there was a director named Mike Flanagan who had sight on a Clayface movie more than a year ago, but he got shut down because there were more adjacent properties like Justice League Dark and John Constantine. But we went to Warner Brothers having a meeting, and I'm like, hey, I want to do a Clayface take two. Now, this was back in 2023, back again from an interview with Mike Flanagan, the director himself. Now, Flanagan also pitched this idea to Warner Brothers back in 2023, but that all starting to change back in holiday of this year, with James Gunn confirmed the Clayface movie is going to be written. He later says the Flanagan's pitch, he captures that imagination, but after writing 2 different story drafts, the film's already put in production stage now. Because of a project he's working on, Flanagan will not be able to direct his movie, and no director has been tagged yet, so we don't know. Well, obviously still in limbo, we don't know. We just know there's going to be a Clayface movie now. While Creature Commando shows clearly Clayface in episode 5, Flanagan's film will reportedly not paint him to the supervillain. It'd be a scary movie, of course. Yes, it's a scary movie. It's tragedy, yes, and it's a monstrous version of him himself, Clayface. Now, sympathetic character, who's also part of DC Universe, it's very unclear how his story will connect to the character audience that we saw back in the animated series. Creature Commandos also introduced the monstrous version of Clayface and the person who killed him. Okay? If Flanagan's movie is the original idea for Clayface that seemed to be shut down by Warner Brothers and James Gunn, now, again, Rick Flag Sr. and Frankenstein try to escape the house. Clayface catches them, brutal fight breaks out with them, and says, Flag taking out the worst punishment he can see imaginable. It's not confirmed whether or not, he's not confirmed whether or not to appear in Superman, though. If we have Rick Flag return in Superman, that would be kind of cool. But might believe that James Gunn has killed yet another member of the Flag family. If not for Frankenstein, then Flag would have died. Okay? Clayface in live action. You want to know more? We'll let you know. There are 3 versions of Clayface in live action. Did you guys know that there is a Clayface in The Birds of Prey from 2003? There is a Clayface from Gotham from 2016 to 2017, and there is a Clayface in 2022 in the Pennyworth series. There are 3 Clayfaces in live action. Birds of Prey 2003, Gotham 2016, and Pennyworth in 2022. Okay? While fighting Frankenstein is able to have electrical light to his house to rejuvenate himself to seemingly kill off Clayface, the final 2 episodes of Creature Commando will likely confirm one way or another what the villain's fate is. While Flanagan's movie is set to also happen some point in 2026, assuming that it will happen in 2026 without any more production delay, it's possible Clayface could be a different character. For example, Cassius Payne is another person who's really important to his story, while also the son of Sandra Fuller and Preston Payne, inheriting both the powers. Even if Clayface is presumably dead, there is still hope alive that he will return, but could appear in the DC Universe without Flanagan's film being a prequel. Similar to that, even if we get mention of Flanagan into the movie, that would be nice, because Flanagan should have some credit too. Because it's not out of question yet whether or not Basil Karlo will be the version we'll get, or we'll get another version, we don't know. But again, this is for 2026, and again, we don't know what the future is. So until then, I'll see y'all later.